Welcome to In the Strike Zone, Episode 4. Sorry about not having Episode 3 up because we checked down the first baseline and our audio umpire said no go, it was a ball. So this episode around we're going to cover a little quickly over of who made the division series worth their while to get into the championship series and cover the championship series as it's going on. As of late, Blue Jays have a 4-1 lead, and we have the game for LA in Game 3 ready to go. Let's get ready to play some ball. I'm your host, Sean Grassi, and here with me is John Winter Flynn. Quickly to look at the division series, we had Cleveland come out, we had Toronto come out, we had the Cubs come out, and we had the Dodgers come out. Now let's look at this championship series as we have the Cubs and the Dodgers, and that series is tied at 1, and that is tonight's game played at 10 o'clock, right?
8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Ooh, they moved it up for the West Coast time. And we've also got currently going on the 3-0 series in the Cleveland and Toronto, as Toronto is winning right now in that crucial save me for another day game, as they're winning 4-1. John, what do you make of this game currently going on?
Yeah, because I think Toronto did a very good job finding ways to get runs off Corey Kluber, the Josh Donaldson home run, and the RBI hit by Ezekiel Carrera, and now Edwin Encarnacion's 2 RBI single off Brian Shaw in the bottom of the 7th to make it a 4-1 game there. But Sean, it's a game that only one team in Major League history has come back from an 0-3 deficit to win a 7-game series, and that is the 0-4 Boston Red Sox.
This is true. Do you think Toronto would have the same firepower that the 0-4 Red Sox did to overcome their rivals in the Yanks?
No. The bullpen has been unbelievable for Cleveland, and I think the momentum continues as time goes along.
Do you think the reason for the bullpen having that much of a impact of not showing up today's game is just because they've been blown out due to Game 3?
I think what it is that the Indians have never trailed in the series so far, and their pitching has been terrific. You look at Game 1, Corey Kluber went 6 1/3, and then Game 2, the pitching was terrific as well, and the Blue Jays have been stymied through 27 innings, but now they have broken through against this Cleveland team like they haven't before in the series, and you have to give credit to these experienced hitters when they're facing elimination and finding ways to get runs across and scratch runs across, because that's how you're going to beat teams like the Cleveland Indians in the playoffs.
So how many games do you think this series is going now that we've gone through 3 and currently going through a 4th?
So because I think that the Indians will find a way to make the clincher tomorrow in Toronto if the 4-1 score holds up.
All right. Now let's look at our 8 o'clock game between the Chicago Cubs as they travel to L.A. to face the Dodgers. Interesting matchup here, considering there have been some moves already made in the lineup to see who gets the better lead in the series against each other, as you've got Zobrist batting the 3rd spot, and you've got other moves going on that it's surprising to see in the Cubs lineup.
Yeah, but I'll first take a look at how Clayton Kershaw has been able to dominate throughout this postseason. You have the two great starts against the Nationals in the division series, and then the Game 5 save, getting Daniel Murphy to induce a pop out, and then eventually getting the final out there. But Game 2, he was on his A game, Sean. 7 innings, 2 hits. 2 hits against this deadly Chicago Cubs lineup, and you have to give credit to Kershaw and everything that he's been able to do ever since he became a perennial Cy Young contender in 2011.
I'm personally looking at it as this of Kershaw got hurt in the middle of the dog days of summer in July and August. and he came back to be ready for the postseason. I'm honestly looking at it as, oh, does he usually have woes in the postseason? Yeah, but he's also thrown 200 plus innings. Now that he doesn't have that big of a workload because he was injured this year, I think he feels more refreshed for the playoffs and is able to win.
Yeah, there was a good stat line yesterday on Sunday night's game that had in innings 1 through 6 in his career in the postseason. Kershaw's ERA is pretty good, 3.06, but after the 7th inning, where the third time in the order and a round has been faced, his ERA was close to 29. Yes, 29. You could argue that was against the Cardinals in 2014 and 2013 when those two teams were dealt with each other. But against every other team he's faced, he's been pretty darn good.
Yeah, he looks pretty good in this series, but at the same time, I'm looking at this Cubs team, and they've made some moves. You've got Baez now in the 5-hole. Soler's coming into play for tonight's game. And I'm looking at it as, okay, we've been bested by last game against Kershaw. Let's switch it up and see if they can pick up on our changes, and let's see if we can control the pace of the game the way we want to.
Yeah, and I think that you bring in Soler to face the left-hander Rich Hill, who came from the Oakland A's in a trade at the deadline, and Rich Hill has had his struggles in the postseason, and I think if the Cubs pick up on Rich Hill's struggles early, I think the Dodgers are in for a long night from their bullpen.
So who do you think wins tonight's game if Area pitches well and Hill pitches well? Which batting lineup is going to do the favor for the team?
I think it's going to be I actually think it's going to be a battle of the bullpens, and I think LA has convinced me more in terms of their bullpen because I said on Flynn for the Win yesterday that if this was to be a matchup about different parts of the team, the only place that I'd see an edge to the Dodgers is their bullpen because you can bring in veterans like Kenley Jansen, who had the 6-out save in Game 2 and the 51-pitch effort in Game 5 at the NLDS against Washington. Is that if you bring in guys to expand their roles, I think this is going to be a good night for the Dodgers if they can find ways to shut down that Chicago lineup with Rich Hill.
I agree that the bullpens need to do work. I'm thinking Chicago will find a way with their bullpen because they need to get that ball into Chapman's hands where he can close out the game and bring the heat.
Yeah, but I think the biggest weakness I found in the Cubs with their preseason roster, sans of Oldest Chapman, has been their mid-relief corps, and I think the key to victory is that who gets to the bullpen first, and I think that would help. But if the game is somehow tied and we're in the battle of the bullpens, I'd say the Dodgers. But any other part of each roster, I'd go with the Cubs because let's face it, the Cubs have been the most talented team in all of baseball. They've had the best run differential, the National League's best offense, the National League's best pitching staff. They have everything going their way in the regular season, but tied 1-1 if the Dodgers have home field at this moment with 3 games in LA. I think the Cubs have to win at least one of the 2 games before the Dodgers call on Kershaw if they call Kershaw on short rest in Game 5. But again, if the Cubs do not win all 3 games, they will face Kershaw again if there is a Game 6 on Saturday night at Wrigley Field.
I'm looking at this Cubs team and I'm thinking they're gonna win at least one of these games in LA. I don't know if it's going to be tonight, tomorrow, or Thursday night, but I know they're going to win one of these games because they have to, and possibly need to win 2 of them because I'm looking at this lineup, now that they've gotten out of Wrigley, and Wrigley is oddly enough not actually being as windy as it's been known to be, and the different direction of the baseball of not having the exact way of going out of the stadium, it's almost playing like April baseball. Maybe them going to LA is actually where they need to clinch it.
So yeah, and I think that if you want to have the best chance to win the series in general, I think that that the Cubs have to win at least 2 out of 3 because they don't want to go down 3-2 and have to face Clayton Kershaw down 3-2 because especially if Kershaw pitches the way he did on Sunday night, you know what the result's going to be unless their bullpen screws up.
And the bullpen could easily do that because it's not been at least the sturdiest except for Jansen. Because I'm looking at this, and Jansen came in and did an amazing job to get that team into the league championship. And then Kershaw came in clutch and came in for that save that normally is for Jensen's role. But at the same time, I'm looking at the Chicago team, and they're known to be a well-balanced team, to play well, and the wind has always been in their favor, at least this season. So with the change in the wind for the now in LA, it's going to be very different, and I'm expecting big home runs from Bryant, Rizzo, and possibly Soler.
Yeah, but I think that the one thing the Dodgers are missing more than anything else, in my view, is Zach Greinke. When you need that 1-2 punch in the postseason with Kershaw and Greinke, I thought they had the stars aligned against the Mets in last year's playoffs with them starting 4 out of the 5 games, but the Mets somehow took 2 of them and won the other game they should have won. But I think in a series where starting pitching depth is key, Sean, I think the Cubs are better in the pitching depth, and I think that's why the Cubs I see them finding a way to take the series.
I can't agree more. I'm looking at this and I'm saying it's going to be Cleveland versus Chicago. Number 1 drought in the league versus the number 2 drought in the league, and I can't wait to see this series unfold when it comes to us.
And I think it's also going to be big for baseball because the rating's going to go through the roof.
Yep. It might hurt anyone's wallet, though.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for throwing another strike as the audio umpire from what I can hear. Yep, he called it a strike. It's a strike 3. And we're on to the next batter as we work on another month. Thank you for getting the strikeout and being in the strike zone.
And I'm John Flynn, joined by Sean Grassi, our host today. Thank you for watching and hope you enjoyed it.